Morning everyone. What a day. The weather out there is horrible. Anyway, welcome to this week's video. So this week we're going to explore a topic rather than have a load of triathlon training content, because quite frankly there hasn't been much. I'm still overcoming this injury and therefore training content is very minimal. There's been a few little runs, test runs, which have proved quite well. But anyway, this week's video, you've probably seen from the title, explores quite a big topic and one that we're going to try and attempt. Where to start in triathlon? What a great question, but one that's a bit of a minefield to answer. I'm going to have a stab at it. I'm going to try my best and hopefully I will capture most things that are important. Oh, and there's one other thing. If I do forget anything or there's anything that you think would be quite important to include, drop them in the comments box for me below. It would be really good to hear your views on it as well. So let's start with equipment. Right, we swim, so I suppose some basic swim gear is needed. We bike, so probably need one of these, a bike. And we run, so some run gear. That pretty much covers it. Well, actually there's probably a little bit more to it, but yeah, those are your basics that you would need. But let's take swimming for example. If I do have a pair of trunks and a pair of goggles, I can take myself off to the pool, carry out a swim session, no problem. You want to improve, however, and you start looking at your technique, that's when the use of pool tools start coming into play. Things like these, pool buoy, paddles, you know, fins, snorkels, you name it, there's quite a lot of tools out there. You think about open water swimming and racing, that's when you're going to need a wetsuit. Unless of course you're a little bit badass like me and you can swim if it's warm enough and you're a strong enough swimmer without a wetsuit. So that you see there's a fair amount of gear that you can consider just for the swimming part. But ultimately, you know, a pair of goggles, swim trunks or swimsuit and a wetsuit are your starting points. You need a bike, right? First and foremost. Now I'm sitting next to my triathlon bike. I'm not even going to go into all the different types of bikes, but my advice is a road bike to start off with. A road bike will allow you to get out on it, train on it, race on it. Now we're not even touched upon the things that we'd probably need for cycling and to make it that little bit more comfortable. We're talking helmets, bike shoes, bib shorts, sunglasses, chafing cream. I don't know, there's so many little bits and pieces that can go with cycling to make it that little bit more comfortable and of course safer. Now I know what you're thinking, right? Money, cost. There is a serious cost associated with triathlon. It's not a cheap sport by any means, and I'm not going to really go into that in this video because it's a whole other video by itself, so maybe I'll explore that in another one. And then we come to running, and I think running is probably the simplest of the three sports because most people own a pair of trainers. Of course, running trainers, specific running trainers are needed. And then we look at probably some run gear, whether that's shorts, running tights, running tops, those kind of things. Pretty basic stuff which most of us own, and then we're ready to go out and hit the road. But you can see I'm sitting on my treadmill, and this again you can see where the cost of triathlon can spiral and grow when you start to invest in pieces of equipment like these. Great for days like this when the weather's crap and windy and rainy and you can do your run workout at home. And then we come to training, and training is a huge area. But I think if you're new to this sport, you're a beginner in it's like, where do I start? And I think the most simple thing is just to do more of each of the three sports and do it regularly and consistently. So what do I mean by that? Well, simply upping your volume in swimming, biking and running will be enough initially to a point. and then you will probably reach a plateau. But triathlon training is great because you can mix things up a bit, but it's quite daunting because you've got 3 sports to consider, and it's like, well, where do I start? But I think building up your specific sport fitness is the way to start. You know, you think about your swim fitness and how far you can swim. Can you improve that? Can you continuously swim longer and longer? And it's the same with your biking, you know, building up your mileage as well as in your running. Now, most triathletes do transition from other sports. So you will probably find that when you start training in these areas, you find that you're particularly weak in one specific area. If that's the case, try and work at it a little bit more. You want to go further, then a little bit more structure and understanding of your training and how you tackle your weaknesses and break through plateaus will be required. Training for triathlon is a little bit of a minefield, which is where people might resort to coaches. Now, any good coach or any good self-coached athlete will have a good understanding of themselves or the athlete that they're working with. And that is the beauty of a coach, in that they know and understand the training phases. They will tell you what workouts to do and when to do it. And of course, will get you in great shape for that specific race that you're targeting. The downside is that coaching costs. It isn't cheap, and most newbies to triathlon won't even consider this approach to begin with, which is totally understandable. And then we come to racing, and racing is usually the thing that pulls us in. You know, triathletes seeing races happening, thinking, I'd like to have a go at this. But, you know, you can find races online all over the country. If you go onto the British Triathlon website, they list them, you know, in months and in areas. And there are many to choose from. But what I would say with new triathletes is it's worth considering your distance and thinking, what distance am I going for? Starting small is always a good idea. And that's it, guys, for this week. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Hopefully I've covered enough, but no doubt I probably missed loads as well. So drop me some comments below on your views upon it. Now I'm about to hit the treadmill for another test run on my knee. I did it on Thursday and it was pretty good, so I'm hoping that I can replicate that. As always, do subscribe if you're new here. It really is appreciated, and we're trying to push through that 100 subscriber barrier. So I'll see you next week. Thanks for watching.